This world has been connected, tied to the darkness, soon to be completely eclipsed.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, Proud Difficulty video walkthrough. We are about to travel to the end of the world, which sounds extremely profound, and in the scheme of the game it kind of is, because it's the final section, and it's where all the answers lie, and all the epiphanies and revelations that you're going to get. That is the ending and the final moments. It's also the beginning of where the storyline turns to shit and goes really convoluted and strange, but not necessarily in a bad way. I still enjoy it. But this is the obligatory gummy ship section. And if at this moment in time you're completely burnt out on gummy ship and you never want to see another one of these shitty sections ever again, you can take solace in the fact that this is the final one of the game, unless you're going for the trophy, which involves replaying them a whole bunch. I will not be doing that, I can happily say. As much as I would like to, 100% this game, it's not on 360, so I really don't care. And I don't know why. Trophies don't do anything for me. It's very sad. They are essentially just achievements, but, whichever one you got first, or whichever one is your system, seems to be the one you prefer, and it's weird that way. It is really sad for the Xbox guys that they didn't get a chance to get these re-releases, and it looks like the second one's going to be the exact same way. And I have no idea why Square's decided to do it. The only thing I could think of is that Sony has the rights. Sony have bought up the rights to the games and they get exclusivity, which seems questionable at this moment without researching it, for the simple reason that Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be multi-platform, and the future of gaming is multi-platform. Exclusives should exist, and I do believe that there's something that separates the consoles and creates competition and will fund progress, but at the same time, I would like it if Xbox and PS3 and PC could play together, could be on similar servers and cross-platform things. And I have no idea why that doesn't exist. I assume it's technology. I assume it's a case we just don't have the machines that do that yet, or we haven't figured out the algorithms or the science behind it. But it doesn't seem like it should be that difficult. And I'm not an engineer of any kind, and I'm not all that computer literate, but still, it seems like that's something that they would have had by now, but perhaps they don't want, and that's why it isn't there. Because there's a lot of favoritism, there's a lot of fanboyism, and there's a lot of bias with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people think that I'm a 360 fanboy. This is another indication of me saving to show you my time, so that you've got an overview of how fast I'm doing it. So 13 hours and 17 minutes, we're in the final level. That gives me just under 2 hours to beat the game. That is more than enough time. So you'll notice there's been a very strange transition just then, and I've dropped a crossfade on it because it was extremely sharp. The reason that happened, guys, is I forgot to press record. And I ran forward in the level, and the very first thing you walk up to spawns a fight, and it's this fight. And I noticed I wasn't recorded, so I paused the game, I hit record. All you've missed is me running forward, and this world is completely filled, this first area, should I say, with fights against Invisibles, which are these guys, and the Angel dudes. So I'm going to give you an overview of these enemies, from what the book says. And just bear with me while I find them. So this guy's called an Invisible. Let's have a see what we've got. So he has 300 life, and as you can tell, they have a lot of life. They are the most aggressive enemy on the game, in my opinion. They're probably the most dangerous. He gets iframes in certain attacks. He's extremely durable. He's extremely fast. He's an asshole, and he's very dangerous. He has 35 strength, 27 defense. He gives 120 experience, and his attack type is dark. So you'll notice that I spun the camera to show you that I've only just ran across this area. And in this particular sequence, I have no idea if you can skip all the fights, but I intentionally didn't open the chests so I could skip the fights. Because in my mind right now, as I'm running into a brick wall like an idiot, I'm thinking I can just completely skip all the fights and get through this area really fast. I have not realised that I'm making no progress. I must have not been paying too much attention at that point. All you have to do is follow the direction that the platforms with the chests on are facing. So that's facing to the right. Follow the line, simple. But this looks like it's mandatory, this one. And I think it's another Behemoth. Oh no, it's the angel things. These guys are called angel stars. And it has 220 life, 40 strength, 30 defense. It gives 150 experience. These things have powerful magic. They have a defensive stance where they cannot be killed. They're a nightmare. So drop-wise, the angel star drops an Ether at 2% chance, a Gale at 6% chance, which is upgrade materials, and Mithril at 1% chance. That 1% chance is not a lie, guys. I've fought hundreds of this enemy and I've never got a Mithril off him. The Invisibles, the counterparts that you're fighting in this room, he drops a 5% chance of an elixir, and that is all. So there may be slight differences between Final Mix and this one in those enemies and their drops, but I don't think they should change that rapidly, or that drastically, should I say. And soon as I went into the fight there, I decided to open the chest, because what harm will it do? So there was another crossfade there as well, and the reason for that is after I opened the chest, for some reason I got turned around, I wasn't paying attention, and I started walking back towards the entrance, because I'm stupid like that. So just be careful on your orientation in this area. You're going towards the bright area as opposed to the cave that you came from. And they both kind of look, you know, ethereal and new, but this is the one you're walking towards, and when you get here, you will trigger a fight. There it is, and it's against another one of the Behemoths. So I don't think this guy has any more stats than before. It says, hang on a second, here we go. In fact, he's weaker. He's weaker than he was in Hollow Bastion. So instead of having 1350 life, he has 1050. He's stronger in strength and defense, but his experience, the one in Hollow Bastion gave us 16,000 experience. This guy only gives us 450. And you might be wondering why. Well, this guy can be farmed. It's not easy to do though, it's a pain in the ass actually. And he does drop Mithril, so let's check his drops. 20% chance for a Mithril Shard, 20% chance of Mithril, and 20% chance of Orichalcum. Or Orichalcum, as it should be pronounced. I don't know if the Orichalcum is correct on this one. Mainly because they've changed it in this game. There's dark matter and there's, you know, a real big emphasis on Mithril. But it should be okay, you know. I really don't understand why they changed the synthesis so much. Like they brought in those new Final Mix Heartless and they decided to make them the staple of synthesis, which I suppose is a more reliable way of doing it, or a more, I don't know, maybe it's to make those Heartless relevant as opposed to just throwaways. Because aside from the upgrade materials, I probably wouldn't have fought any of them, because they're all out of the way and none of them are specifically needed to be killed. So it's the only thing I can think of, an incentivized way to get you to fight the new enemies. That was me using a heal to iframe through the lightning, so it's very easy to do that one. The roll is skill, the iframe on the Leaf Bracer is piece of piss. But he's down to his last bit of life, so let's just chop his head. We get a nice level there off him, and then we can continue through this abyss where a world should be. But before I got interrupted, I was talking about, you know, people thinking that I was an Xbox 360 fanboy, which is not the case at all. I just like Microsoft's connectivity as far as its parties go, as far as its, you know, its online service, because Microsoft have just been doing it for a lot longer and they've got it down. They've got a lot of money in place and a lot of servers that offer, you know, aside from PC, the best online experience you can get, because they've been doing it longer and they know how to do it better than Sony, and it's just irrefutable fact that. I also prefer the pad, you know, the Xbox 360 pad it's probably one of my all-time favourite pads for comfort. I really enjoy it. And then there's the achievement thing, because I'm invested in my achievements and in, you know, my gamer score, which is just a case of whichever one you played first. But if I ever I was a fanboy, it was for Nintendo. The only difference now is Nintendo have really changed, and they've moved away from what I loved about them. Like, I'm a big Sony fan. It's just I was disappointed with the PlayStation 3. Like, I was immensely disappointed with it, but that just stems from the fact that I had a PS1 and a PS2, and those two consoles are some of the most successful consoles in history that have done so much, and I had grand expectations that just were not met. And it's funny when I share opinions like this, because it's going to offend somebody, because that's just how it works. You say something to certain fanboys and they just blow up. They can't help it. It's in their nature. And then you get other people that'll say things like, oh, I came to learn how to play the game and beat this boss. I didn't want to care about you starting a console war. It's like, dude, I'm not starting a console war. I'm not saying one console's better than the other. I'm saying I have a preference, and that preference just so happens to be this one, you know? People who say the 360 is more powerful than the PS3 are fucking idiots. You know, I deal with fact and reason. I don't deal with just arguing on pride alone. There's no real need for it. And while I understand the need for competition and the need for those kind of arguments, and I do enjoy, you know, poking the fire, on a complete 100% serious note, they're completely pointless and stupid. So, you know, they're just a waste of time and effort, but a lot of people love to do it. I'm not one of those people. This room is tough. This is a bunch of invisibles, and they hurt. And at this moment in time, I am slightly underleveled, so I am feeling every hit they do, and they're taking a massive pounding. So you'll notice, immediately at the battle, I started hitting them with Strike Raid to use both iframes and cause quick damage on all of them, because they're all lined up. The Keyblade will hit all of them. And it's just one of those really tense moments where if you get comboed by two invisibles, you're dead. You're just dead. There's no talking, there's no reprisal, it's just death. If you're wearing better equipment than me, or you're a higher level, you'll have a much easier time. But I've already mentioned a few times that there was no farming of levels, there's no grinding enemies done. This is literally just playing through the game, getting to the end, and hopefully it helps people. But a couple more invisibles here. If you can catch them in the air combo and just keep on beating on them, they're really simple. You know, the only thing you're in fear of there is getting cramp in your hand. But if you let them do moves and attacks and start getting momentum, they can just be lethal. Look at Goofy and Donald. They never stood a chance, you know. Such a lethal enemy. And they've got projectiles, they've got iframes, they turn invisible, as per the name. You know, they're assholes. Don't let them suggest anything else. But they're challenging assholes, and I'll forgive them for irritating me, because they definitely make the game harder. So, I walked up to that console before, pressed triangle on it, as you can see, and I don't know why I did it a second time. I'm not too sure at all. I think I'm supposed to go through this area. There you go. But I was confused by those tiny portals. I thought you could get through them, and you can't, but it was worth a try. So the only thing left to do here is save, which I'm going to do now. I've just done that fight, because coming up is a boss called Chernobog, I believe his name is. He's from Fantasia. It's a very interesting fight, and it can be rather tricky. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.